Join the custom cooling revolution with the Corsair Hydro X series, featuring every part you'll need to make your PC stand out with a gorgeous custom cooling system. Experience powerful cooling with minimal noise, easy setup, and automated control for efficient fan and pump speeds. Choose from a range of water blocks for the latest graphics cards, including the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 and 2080 Ti. For more info, click the link below. All right, so we came across our first major snag of the build. Allow me to explain real quick. So after installing the first 360mm rad in the front, I came to realize that the rest of the case is not gonna have enough space for the second 280mm rad. So this was my original plan. I wanted to put two 140mm fans on the bottom, just like that, to be used as intake for the bottom 280mm rad. As you guys can see, there is no clearance, there's no space to put that on there, and there's no space to put it on the top. As you guys can see, the mounting holes don't align with the bracket up top because this radiator is too far in. I guess this case is not as big as it seems. The ideal radiator configuration would be a 280mm rad in the front. That way you have plenty of clearance to add another 280mm rad either on the top or bottom, or you can go with a 240mm rad. But the issue with that is if I do go with a 280mm rad and install the fans, then as you guys can see, there's gonna be an empty space either on the top, or if I move it on the top, there's gonna be empty space on the bottom since it only supports 2 fans. And that's not gonna look good in this case. You know, it comes standard with 3 120mm fans, and I do wanna occupy all 3 slots. So that is why I went with a 360mm rad. But I've been sitting here for the past 30 minutes trying to figure out the best solution to this. And the only option that I have is to go with a 240mm rad on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is put 2 fans for intake, and then put the 240 rad on top, just like that. And then use the 140mm fans as exhaust on the top of the case. Like that. Yeah, kind of disappointed, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, so where to begin? I do want to say that the overall build went fairly smooth for the most part, aside from those 2 minor hiccups, the radiator clearance being one of them, and then almost destroying my entire PC because I forgot to plug up 2 holes while filling the reservoir. Twice. In case you guys haven't noticed, I did go soft tubing this time around just to change things up since my last build was hardline. And I gotta say guys, there's something about soft line tubing that I really enjoy. Other than the convenience of it, I just love the curves that I'm able to do with soft tubing that I just can't with hardline. I also did my best not to overlap any of the tubing, that way it's all visible. For example, the run on the bottom over here, I made it purposely go down a little bit, that way it's not covering the tubing on the back. Also, check out this pretty cool run I did from the GPU to the pump. Now, these 2 fittings were too close together for me to connect directly, so I ended up thinking, what's another way of connecting the GPU to the pump and also making it look cool? So then I thought about doing a full 180-degree curve or loop, which I think ended up looking awesome. So I currently have 7 fans in this case. I have 5 as intake. We have 3 for the front 360mm rad and 2 for the bottom rad, which also gives off a pretty nice glowing effect. And then we have 2 exhaust fans up top. Also, I'm really glad I added this RGB distro plate. Without it, the PC kind of looked a bit empty, like it was missing something. Now, since most of the parts in here are Corsair and they're all connected via IQ software, I can change the lighting fairly easily with just a few clicks. So if I get bored with black and purple, I can change the lighting to green and kind of make it a Joker themed PC instead. But then I got over that really quickly and I realized, you know what? I want to do a Thanos themed PC. I do have majority of the colors already anyways, black and purple. But the thing is, Thanos has an infinity gauntlet with 6 infinity gems. So I had to find some way to incorporate that in the build without messing around with most of the parts. And this is what I came up with.
Reality is often disappointing.
So since the gauntlet has this goldish color to it and the infinity stones have this shiny jewel effect, I thought the Royal RAM sticks from G.Skill would be the perfect fit. Now obviously the motherboard has only 4 RAM slots, so there was no way I could replicate all 6 stones, so instead I just picked the colors that weren't already in the build. And I gotta say, it looks pretty damn cool. Alright, now let's talk about the most important part of this PC, the performance. Because like I said in the beginning of this video, the purpose of this build was to increase my overall efficiency and productivity. So I had to squeeze as much performance as I could out of it. Let's take a look at temps first. Before the overclock, the 3900X idles around 42 degrees and peaks at 74 degrees on load. Using Ryzen Master, I was able to push the first 6 cores to 4.35 gigahertz and the other 6 to 4.25 gigahertz at 1.425 volts. The overclock gave me some pretty nice performance gains on Cinebench R20. I jumped from 6566 to 7723. That's a 15% gain in the multi-thread test. For Time Spy, I scored 1072 higher on the CPU score after overclocking, and finally for rendering, I was able to shave off 50 seconds from the total export time from a 5-minute 4K project. Every little bit helps. The 3900X after overclocking now idles around 45 degrees and peaks at 90 degrees during full load. However, it is stable and I'm okay with those high temps in exchange for better performance. Of course, I didn't want to leave the GPU alone, so I did overclock that as well. I was able to add an extra 175 megahertz offset on the boost clock and 750 megahertz on the memory, pushing the total boost of the GTX 1080 Ti over 2000 megahertz. And with this overclock, I scored 928 points more on the graphic test for Time Spy. And for gaming, I got 13 FPS more on Heaven Benchmark and 15 FPS more on Rainbow Six Siege. So overall, I am very, 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 very happy with the overall aesthetics and more importantly, the performance of this PC. I've actually decided that once the 3950X comes out, I'm not gonna do a separate build. I'm just gonna swap the CPU in here and possibly convert this into a hardline build with gold fittings and solid purple coolant, which I think will look way more closer to a Thanos themed PC. But that is up to you guys if you want to see a follow-up video. I'm thinking about doing this offline. I don't think it's worthy of a second video, but if this video gets 10,000 likes, I will make it happen. I do have a bunch of other water-cooled projects coming up, including a water-cooled Mini ITX build, which I'm super excited about. And I do have a few budget builds coming up with a build guide. So if you guys are interested in that type of content, make sure to subscribe with notifications enabled. I love your faces, as always. I'll see you in the next one.